2 months into your 18th year, and you have 4 gray walls to look forward to for the rest of your life.
Upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up and laughing and joking. Miss McNeil, be quiet.
Saying pull the trigger to kill your son, you know, it's memory.
This is Dylan Shoemaker, a 16-year-old from Springville, New York, standing trial for one of the most disturbing crimes imaginable, the brutal murder of a 23-month-old boy named Austin Smith. It all began on March 19, 2013. Shoemaker was at home looking out for his girlfriend's 2 sons while she worked a restaurant shift. When Ashley Smith returned that night, she walked into a nightmare. Her youngest son, Austin, was unresponsive, his small body covered in bruises. Paramedics rushed to the scene, but the damage was beyond repair. Austin had been beaten so severely, there was nothing they could do. Shoemaker was immediately arrested and charged with second-degree murder and first-degree assault. In court, Shoemaker pleaded not guilty. His defense argued that he was just a confused, immature teenager, too young to fully understand his actions.
But there were other dynamics at work there, including my client's inability to either control his anger or frustration and his inexperience in babysitting.
But the line of defense fell apart when the medical examiner took the stand. The report was graphic and damning. Little Austin had suffered ruptured blood vessels near his eyes and ears, hemorrhages in his brain, and multiple bruises on his face, neck, and torso. The cause of death was diffuse axonal injury, a brain injury caused by repeated blunt force trauma. It became clearer and clearer to the jury that this wasn't an accident. Evidence presented in court also showed Austin's injuries were inflicted over several hours, not in a single moment of anger. Shoemaker himself admitted to striking the child multiple times, slapping his face, slamming his head on the floor, and even covering his face with a pillow before punching him again. The poor boy, who was just a month away from his 2nd birthday, never stood a chance. Shoemaker, on the other hand, appeared emotional throughout the trial.
I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
He even made a tearful plea to the victim's family, seated right there in the courtroom.
I didn't mean to kill Austin. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
His sister defended him too.
Do you think that he could have hurt a child like this?
I don't think so. No. He's never hurt anyone before. He's my baby brother. Like, he can't do this. It's not... There's no way. I still don't believe it.
But that image of a remorseful boy shattered the moment the judge revealed a phone call Shoemaker made from jail. And this one call would change everything.
I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me, end quote.
Shoemaker's tears, as it turned out, were all an act. Justice M. William Baller then handed down the maximum penalty, 25 years to life in prison for the murder of 23-month-old Austin Smith.
It is a judgment of this court that upon your conviction for the crime of murder in the 2nd degree, that you be sentenced to an indeterminate term of imprisonment which will have a maximum of life. The court hereby imposes a minimum sentence of 25 years.
And as deputies escorted him out of the courtroom, the teenager who had spent the trial crying and begging for forgiveness had a very different message to reporters outside the courthouse.
Mind your own business.
While Dylan Shoemaker broke down in tears, begging for forgiveness after taking a boy's life, the next teenager didn't shed a single tear. In fact, he smiled his way through a double murder trial. This is Michael Swanson, a 17-year-old boy standing trial in Iowa for a double murder.
17-year-old Michael Swanson sitting behind bars tonight on $1 million bail.
On November 15, 2010, Michael walked into 2 convenience stores, armed, calm, and ready to kill.
Yes, it really is, and it seems these 2 ladies worked at stores that were really at the center of their small towns. There is farmland around this area for miles, and it seems everyone knew these ladies, and a lot of people are missing them already.
She worked as hard as she could to make sure that the family was taken care of and well fed. Make sure everyone had everything they needed.
A couple of her kids say she worked at the Crossroads gas station and convenience store in Alagona for roughly 6 years and never missed a day of work.
Finally arrested, Swanson was taken into police custody while investigators tried to understand what his motive was.
Police dashcam video taken hours after two convenience store clerks were murdered. The pictures show a calm Michael Swanson being taken into custody at a Webster City McDonald's after workers there spotted a suspicious vehicle.
When asked what it felt like to pull the trigger, his answer was chilling.
I'm always curious, how did it feel when you pulled the trigger? I mean, some people say that, it feels powerful or that it's kind of a rush, or what did you feel when you pulled the trigger?
I felt powerful, but I don't know, I just didn't really care.
Didn't care, okay. How else did you feel?
It had no effect on me. I just didn't even care. I don't know, I just felt like my adrenaline was pumping, I felt good.
Okay.
He spoke about the murders with zero remorse.
Can you tell me what this clerk in this gas station looked like? Was it a white lady or a black lady?
It was a white lady. I think she was kind of older though.
Kind of older? Okay. And can you describe her hair or her face at all?
I think she had darker hair. I think it might have been kind of gray, but that's why I think she was older. But I don't really remember her face though.
He even went as far as describing his victim's final moments with disturbing indifference.
So after you shot her, did you see how she fell?
I think she said something when I shot her. Like, I don't know, like, she made, some noise. She just fell down. She just kind of fell on the ground. And I walked to the car.
You said that she made some type of noise. What type of noise did she make?
Something like kind of like a half scream, half gasp.
Okay. Can you imitate it? I know you can't do it perfectly, but...
I just kind of sound like she's surprised. It's like, I don't know.
Okay.
Swanson was charged with first-degree murder and robbery, but his courtroom behavior was just as disturbing as his crimes. While being escorted to his hearing by police officers, Swanson was seen smiling, as if amused by the whole process.
So why did you come to Iowa?
I don't know.
What's so funny? You're smiling.
Yeah, I'm funny.
In court, his friend testified against him.
So he lifts up his shirt, and in his waistband there was a pistol. He said that he had gone to a family cabin, broken in, and stolen it.
As for his defense, his attorney claimed that Swanson was suffering from insanity, pointing to untreated mental health conditions.
You cannot hold them legally responsible for a condition he's born with, and that's exactly what happened.
You've got a doctor who puts in his report that without antipsychotic medication, he's going to rob people, he's going to use weapons and commit violent acts, yet they let him out without any kind of medication. I mean, that to me is the failure of the system in this case.
Eventually, Swanson pleaded guilty.
I then intentionally, deliberately, and with premeditation shot the clerk, causing her to die. I did this with a specific intent to kill her.
At sentencing, the daughter of one of his victims faced him directly.
How could you do what you did to my mom and my family? I want to know if you're even sorry. Are you sorry for what you did? My mom was not only completely 100% innocent, but she was also a defenseless woman when you came in with that gun. You said you did it for cigarettes and money and so no one could identify you, but I think that's a lie. You did it, as you later said on, that it was so you could feel powerful.
The pain in that courtroom was unbearable. Even the husband of Meyer, another of his victims, couldn't bring himself to speak. So the prosecutor had to read his statement for him.
When I watch TV at night, it's extremely lonely because there's no one to talk to, no one to go to bed with, and no one to wake up with in the morning. And we can't forget that this is about Sheila Myers, not about the system failing Michael Swanson, and not about how something must be wrong with Michael Swanson.
But Swanson had no remorse for his actions, and the judge finally had lost his patience with him.
I'll tell you what I think. It's cold-blooded murder. Cold-blooded murder, young man.
Michael Swanson had the weirdest reaction to what the judge was saying.
2 months into your 18th year, and you have 4 gray walls to look forward to for the rest of your life.
And your counsel wants us to believe that you lack the capacity, that you are insane. And I don't buy into that. You are dangerous, you are unpredictable, and there is no place for you in an open, law-abiding society.
Then came the sentence. 2 life sentences without parole.
Prison for the rest of your life is the only alternative, and the court intends to follow through.
Swanson would spend the rest of his life in prison, and even as he was led away, it would seem that he still did not realize the effect and consequences of his actions, or he simply did not care. While Michael Swanson smiled during his trial, as if the pain he caused was entertainment, the next teen killer didn't laugh. He had no reaction whatsoever after taking the life of his friend. This is Aiden Fucci, a 14-year-old from St. Johns County, Florida, and he is standing trial for one of the most senseless murders the state has ever seen. His victim was a 13-year-old cheerleader, Tristan Bailey, found brutally stabbed more than 100 times. It all began on Mother's Day, May 9th, 2021. At around 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., surveillance footage caught Fucci walking with Tristan through a quiet neighborhood. Not long after, another camera picked him up running barefoot, clutching his shoes, and heading back home. But the most important fact is that he was alone, without Tristan. By morning, Tristan's family realized she was missing.
I walked out and Sophia was making breakfast by herself. And I was like, where's Tristan? And she's like, she's still sleeping. And then my son came downstairs. I asked him to go upstairs and to wake up Tristan for breakfast. He came back. Then he was like, Mom, listen, I know I'm blind, but like, I didn't see her up there. And then it instantaneously hit me, sheer panic.
Her mother, Stacy Bailey, made a panicked 911 call to alert the authorities that he could not find her daughter. That afternoon, officers immediately arrived at the scene and efforts began on locating the missing child. Authorities also began to piece the previous night together, and not long after, every clue they uncovered pointed straight at Fucci. One of the people they interviewed was Tre, another friend of Aiden, and by the time police began to interrogate him, they understood that he was the last person seen with Tristan.
What all happened Saturday night?
Saturday night, Aiden came over around 8 after he got done hanging out with Sophie. So me and him were outside, and then I was like, Aiden, do you want Tristan to come over? And he was just like, I don't care, sure. So I called her, invited her over. They left, and then I just went back to sleep.
Do you know about what time Aiden and Tristan left?
Between 1 and 1:10.
Did they say anything about where they were gonna go after they left?
I just told them to leave, and then rolled back over and heard the door open, and they both left.
What's the next thing that happened?
That night, he never texted me, never called me. Woke up around 9. I thought Aiden was home, Tristan was home. I called Aiden, and I was just like, what happened last night? He just said he dropped her off at the front of her neighborhood, and he went home.
When detectives arrived at his home, Aiden claimed he had no idea where Tristan was.
Are you willing to kind of give me a statement about what's going on?
Yeah, so we're at Trey's house, and then I stayed there until probably like 1:50 a.m. And then I was really late to be home, so I just had to leave, or else my mom would like seriously just kill me.
But this first story he told officers kept changing.
We started walking home, and then next to like where that brick wall starts up there,
okay,
is where like she touched my and I like pushed her off me real hard, and then I just kind of walked away out of anger.
And his actions afterwards were far, far different from that of a concerned person whose close friend just got missing.
Eventually, they all pull up in the front of the house, and they move me into the squad car with Aiden. He was like, let's make memories. Like, you make a Snapchat memory and you save it. So we remember whenever like all this happened.
It's in a cop car, cuz. Tripping, dude. It's so right on this. Damn, dude, that's like flashbangs in back there. We're having fun in a cop car. Yep. Tristan. What's up, guys? Yeah. Tristan, if you walk out the damn... When you see this in a month.
And then he uploaded a very questionable picture on Snapchat, all while Tristan's whereabouts for the most part was still unknown. At 6:06 p.m., a 911 call came in that ended the search.
Sorry, can you tell me what's going on today?
So I heard there was a missing girl. We see the whole neighborhood's been abuzz. People have been looking for her. The sheriff's been around, helicopters flying. My wife had mentioned maybe checking in the woods over here along the end of the cul-de-sac and at the pond into the property next to us.
A body had been found in the woods near a retention pond, and soon the body was identified as that of Tristan's.
I finished my run and I walked around through the woods and I just did a last sweep. And when I came out of the fence at the southern end of the pond, I saw a dead girl there. As soon as I saw her, I stopped and called 911.
The crime scene was horrifying. Blood-matted hair, defensive wounds, and stab wounds. Most to her head, neck, and back, and her cold hands told the story of a desperate fight for her life.
Tristan was stabbed 114 times. Most of the wounds were defensive wounds, so she put up a fight. She fought back.
The weapon that took her life was a buck knife with its tip broken off, and forensics later matched to a fragment found lodged in her skull. Fucci was arrested and brought in for questioning. But before the detectives started their questioning, his parents first had time to talk with him.
You know they found this girl, right?
Where?
In our neighborhood, down our main street.
Is she good?
No,
she's not.
She's dead. This is very important. It's all on you right now.
This is my problem.
You were the last one.
Last one seen with her. So right now, it's facing you right now, son. So however you talk, you breathe, you think, then you respond.
This is very serious, Aiden. You can't act like I don't know.
And this time, the version of the story he was sticking with was very different from what he first told the officers that had questioned him the first time.
His story was that they got to this particular intersection and they had kissed, and then she grabbed his private part and he pushed her down.
She pushed her down and then you walked away. We shouldn't be talking. You walked away, you came straight home. You didn't turn back around and see where she went?
Did they ever say why it took you so long to get home?
So I walked around.
By yourself?
Did you just walk really slow home?
And then he tried to shift the blame to a third party.
Do you know if this girl got picked up?
I told him about her dealer.
You think she got picked up by him?
I mean, probably.
Did you see this 20-year-old kid? You didn't get in his car?
I never even saw him before. I just heard about him.
That night?
Oh no, I've heard about him many times.
But Aiden was not the only person trying to cover something up. His mother knew that police would find evidence of Aiden's clothes, and she was determined to prevent that from happening.
You wore khakis or blue jeans?
Blue jeans.
You sure it's not on them? When we looked on the camera, you were wearing khakis, right?
The reason behind this was soon clear. Aiden had clearly been seen on the surveillance footage in jeans, and his mother had clearly tried to change the fact. It was soon clear that these parents were not ready to confront their son's actions. They actually wanted him to get away with his crimes.
Find your story, stay to it.
Yep, and they don't like all that switching back and forth stuff.
Meanwhile, back at his house, detectives were tearing it apart for evidence, and what they found left no doubt.
We located shoes that were hidden that tested positive for blood, a shirt of his, and a pair of jeans in a hamper that were damp, and then a lot of those items tested positive for blood. The drain trap in his bathroom sink, we were able to get her DNA on that knife, even though it had been in water for a period of time.
There were also blood-soaked shoes and clothes hidden under his dresser, a handwritten note stained with blood, and a drawing of a mutilated body on his desk. But perhaps what was most damning was a video footage of his mother, Crystal Smith, washing his bloody jeans, the very ones he wore that night in the bathroom.
And located a pair of jeans in a hamper that she felt had blood on them. And then you see where she is taking them into a bathroom and clearly washing them in a sink.
When they talked to Fucci's girlfriend, Sophie, police who wanted to understand why Aiden would murder his friend finally understood exactly what they were dealing with.
Did Aiden ever discuss anything to you that would make you think he wanted to try to use a knife on somebody?
Aiden talked about killing people a lot.
Aiden and I had a dark sense of humor, and I never took him seriously. He talked about wanting to kill me. Sometimes he would take his knife and pretend to stab me with it.
Did you ever hear Aiden discuss having a certain plan that he wanted to carry out? Did he ever discuss in detail, like, this is how I would do something, or this is what I want to do?
Yeah, he did. He said that he would just walk at night and find like a random person walking too and just drag them in the woods and stab them. He said I should expect it within the month.
And when was that he said this?
I think this month.
And then, Sophie told the police about Fucci's obsession with knives.
Aiden kept knives for protection. He always had a knife on him if he wasn't at school. He called one picker, and then he called that one poker.
Armed with all these, including the autopsy report which revealed that Tristan had 114 stab wounds, the prosecutors upgraded Fucci's charges to first-degree premeditated murder. But the court moment was where the drama began. During his first court appearance, Fucci barely seemed to understand what was happening.
You demons. You demons take my soul. You demons want to take my soul away. I don't let you demons steal my soul. I don't know.
For a moment there, it seemed he was about to go right for a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. But right before jury selection, Fucci finally changed his plea to guilty.
Your Honor, on behalf of Aiden Fucci, we enter a change of plea at this time.
Mr. Fucci, is it your desire to enter a plea of guilty to one count of first-degree murder?
Yes, sir.
Even in view of the guilty plea, the prosecutor reminded the court of how much Tristan had suffered before she died that night.
Everybody knows the saying that pictures are worth 1,000 words. I know you will never forget those photos. There were 114 stab wounds. 49 of those were defensive. She was fighting. There will be juveniles that will deserve a life sentence, and Aiden Fucci is one of those.
Before the judge's sentencing, Tristan's family was allowed to deliver their victim impact statements, and what they said shook the courtroom. Her sister, Alexis Bailey, sat at the podium and set down a glass jar which she slowly filled with stones.
114. This jar now holds 114 stones, one for each of the 114 stab wounds that my sister had to endure.
Then Tristan's mother stepped forward.
Aiden Fucci, you betrayed us all. Your deplorable actions are unforgivable, and I will pray every day that you stay in prison for the rest of your life. Your Honor, Aiden Fucci took the very life that I brought into this world. Please do not for 1 second think that he could be rehabilitated at any point. He is beyond saving.
But Tristan's family were not the only ones who addressed the court. Aiden's grandmother did too.
I wish I could change what happened, and we pray for you every day. I pray for you every day. I hope that you find peace somewhere, and we lost a child too.
Is that the boy you knew?
He's not the boy that I knew. I don't know what happened. I mean, he's always been good and happy. I'm so sorry.
It was the first time anyone saw any signs of emotion from Aiden throughout the entire proceedings.
I'm so sorry. Sorry. I just don't need my mama back. Wow, this is so hard.
In fact, at some point, Aiden was seen laughing over something his attorney showed him. But right before sentencing, things took a different turn as Aiden gave Tristan's family an apology letter. Finally, it all came down to the sentencing. The courtroom was still as Judge R. Lee Smith began to speak.
He lured her into a secluded place in the woods near his home, a person that she trusted, and he led her there under false pretenses. There was a heightened level of premeditation in this case. Based on the prior statements that he made to his girlfriend and his friend, he indicated that he was going to kill someone. This crime had no motive. It was done for no other reason than to satisfy this defendant's internal desire to feel what it was like to kill someone. There is only one appropriate sentence in this case.
Then came the final words.
Mr. Fucci, having entered a plea of guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I adjudicate you guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristan Bailey. I sentence you to life in prison, eligible for review of the sentence in 25 years.
Aiden Fucci would not be eligible for parole until he turns 52 years old. Aiden Fucci showed no reaction as he was let out, the same blank stare he wore the day he joked from the back of that police car. But for Tristan's family, the sentence was more than justice. It was the sound of a door finally closing on a boy who murdered, laughed, and showed the world just how dark no remorse can truly look. Aiden Fucci claimed voices told him to kill. The next teenager who committed one of the most horrific racially motivated mass killings remained stone-faced as he received his sentence. This is 19-year-old Peyton Gendron, and he is standing in a Buffalo courtroom, facing the consequences of one of the most horrific and racially motivated mass shootings in recent U.S. history. On May 14, 2022, Gendron armed himself with an assault rifle covered in white supremacist slogans, put on tactical gear, and drove over 200 miles from his hometown of Parkland, New York, to Buffalo. But this was no random violence. Prosecutors said every step Gendron made that day was well calculated. Gendron had scouted a Tops-friendly market, a grocery store, in a predominantly black neighborhood. He'd even published a 180-page manifesto online, explicitly stating his plan to kill as many black Americans as possible and spark a race war. At 2:30 p.m., he pulled into the parking lot, began live streaming, and opened fire.
When I first saw him shooting, he shot a woman, he shot a deacon, he shot another woman, and then he went in the store and started shooting again.
In just a few minutes, 10 innocent people were dead and 3 others wounded. Witnesses described utter chaos. People diving behind shelves and shopping carts, praying, calling loved ones as gunfire echoed through the aisles.
My granddaughter works there. She heard the shooting, so she took herself and ran in the bathroom and locked the door.
I frequent this store all the time. I've never been afraid to be here. I am now. I am now.
By the time police arrived, Gendron had turned the rifle on himself, meaning to end his own life. But officers managed to talk him down and take him into custody. When officers began their investigations, they honestly were not sure what to expect, and they would soon discover how disturbingly deliberate everything all was. Gendron had mapped the store, timed his route, and even etched the names of other mass killers onto his weapon. Nothing about this was impulsive.
It was straight up racially motivated hate crime from somebody outside of our community.
This is the worst nightmare that any community can face.
In court, prosecutors labeled him a domestic terrorist, driven by hate and radicalized through extremist corners of the internet.
On May 14th of 2022, this defendant displayed a callous disregard for human life. He drove over 200 miles out of his way with one mission, with one goal: to kill as many black people as possible. During that 3-hour drive, he could have turned around, but he wouldn't be deterred. He was steadfast to accomplish his goal of killing as many black people as possible and starting a race war.
When it came time for victim impact statements, the courtroom filled with grief and anger. Families of the victims stood, one after another, describing the loved ones they'd lost and the holes left in their lives.
Hello, I'm Vion Elliott. I am Andre McNeil's brother. Me and Andre are 11 months and 8 days apart. On the 28th, I'll turn 53. On March 8th, he'll turn 54. Peyton, you took this from me. You took the last of my line.
At one point, as emotions boiled over, a relative lunged at Gendron, forcing deputies to restrain him.
Stop our kids. We never go in no neighborhood to take people out. Don't do it.
Through it all, Gendron sat still, expressionless. When the judge invited him to speak, he apologized, claiming that he was remorseful for what he'd done.
I'm very sorry for stealing the lives of your loved ones. I cannot express how much I regret all the decisions I made leading up to my actions on May 14th. I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were black. Looking back now, I can't believe I actually did it. I believed what I read online and acted out of hate.
But for the families in that room, those words meant absolutely nothing. Because what happened that day wasn't an accident or a mistake. It was a choice, fueled by hate.
There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society.
Peyton Gendron was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a punishment that ensures he'll spend the rest of his days behind bars, with no audience, no manifesto, and no way out.
An A1 felony. That you be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
Peyton Gendron stood emotionless as survivors unleashed their rage, but this teenager sat through 4 months of tearful testimonies from the families of his victims and still managed to laugh with his defense attorney. This is Nicholas Cruz, standing in a Florida courtroom, facing 17 counts of premeditated murder, along with multiple charges of attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. On February 14, 2018, Cruz walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and carried out one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. But the warning signs had come long before that day.
My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. Location is Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's gonna be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die.
Months before the attack, Cruz recorded a series of video diaries, speaking directly into the camera about his desire to become a school shooter. Even online, he left a chilling digital trail, including a comment posted under a YouTube video that read, "I'm going to be a professional school shooter." The tip was reported to the FBI, but agents failed to track him down in time. Then came Valentine's Day 2018, the day he made good on that threat. It was just after 2 p.m. Students were packing their bags and watching the clock waiting for the final bell. Nicholas Cruz was watching that same clock, but for a different reason. He arrived on campus carrying a legally purchased AR-15 rifle, concealed in a black case.
19-year-old Nicholas Cruz seen here loading an AR-15 in the hallway of Stoneman Douglas High School as a frightened freshman walks past. The Sun-Sentinel reporting that according to that freshman, Cruz telling him, "You'd better get out of here, things are gonna start getting messy."
Once inside, he began firing, classroom by classroom, hallway by hallway, leaving behind a trail of terror and carnage.
Oh my God!
Within minutes, the school was a war zone. 911 calls flooded in.
There was 3 shots in your room? There was 3 shots in her room. Okay. Oh my God. I love you. I love you. It's gonna be fine. Can you hide somewhere? Can you play dead?
By the time the gunfire stopped, 17 people were dead, students, teachers, and other staff, while 17 more were wounded.
I was like, guys, it's a gun. Everyone get in the room. We were all taking care of each other. We dove in the back of the room in the corner and just waited, and we just covered our ears. It was insane.
I saw 2 girls dead next to each other, holding hands.
I heard 6 shots, loud shots. Right after I heard that, I was like, oh my God, we gotta go. So I started running as fast as I can.
And while panic rippled through the school, Cruz dropped his weapon, slipped off his vest, and blended in with fleeing students. Hours later, police found him in a nearby neighborhood and arrested him without incident. Back at the station, officers noted his strange behavior. He rocked back and forth, mumbled to himself, and when questioned, claimed that voices in his head had told him to carry out the massacre.
Never? And what does the voice say to you? Well, what does it tell you to do?
Burn, kill, destroy.
Okay, burn, kill, destroy what?
Anything.
But when the trial began, Cruz's defense didn't deny the shooting. The evidence was overwhelming. Hundreds of videos, eyewitnesses, and ballistic matches. Instead, his attorneys focused on his past.
And Miss Deacon will tell you the drugs that they would do, the alcohol that they would drink, and she will tell you what the streets of US 1 and A1A were like in the late 90s. And she will tell you that despite both of them being mothers, the most important thing was them getting high and getting drunk.
After claiming that Cruz was affected in the womb by drugs used by his addicted mother and failed by the system that should have helped him, Cruz even tried to suggest that marijuana use contributed to his actions that day.
And I love you, and I know you don't believe me, but I have to live with this every day, and it brings me nightmares, and I can't live with myself sometimes, but I try to push through because I know that's what you guys would want me to do. I hate drugs, and I believe this country would do better if everyone would stop smoking marijuana and doing all these drugs and causing racism and violence out in the streets.
But the prosecution fought back, showing the court the online messages and videos where Cruz openly fantasized about killing.
So these are YouTube comments that came from the various accounts. The first one is from Nicholas Cruz Macavor at gmail.com on July 4th, 2017 at 12:06:18 UTC. I can't wait to kill black people and rape a girl in 2020. I will try and kill at least 15 people. May I not die in vain.
Then came the testimonies of some of the members of the victims' families.
Good afternoon. Mr. Hickson, is your father Mr. Christopher Hickson?
Yeah.
And is there something that you'd like to tell the jury about your dad?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's okay. I miss him.
The full word was used. You, ends, are nothing but absolute garbage. I wish you black people would just disappear. You're nothing in society. That's why in 2020, you will hear me on the news. I will kill as many black people as I can, and I will make sure I kill a lot. I will wear body armor, and I will be heavily armed. No mercy, no forgiveness, no regret. I will kill you, ends.
But even as these testimonies played out, Cruz's courtroom demeanor was chilling. At one point, he was seen laughing with his attorney, who shockingly flipped off the camera in full view of the court.
About specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking. Miss McNeil, be quiet.
During the victim impact statements, grieving parents locked eyes with the man who murdered their children and loved ones.
A prison where you will be other inmates' boy toy. A prison where your fellow prison inmates are just waiting to tear you apart, because from what I hear, child killers are highly frowned upon and hated in prison. You will look back at the time that you spent in the Broward County Jail and see it as it was a hotel compared to the prison where you are headed.
One parent, himself a defense attorney, tore into Cruz.
The fact that I have to share my world with you is disgusting. The fact that I have to breathe the same air you breathe is reprehensible. I can't wait till that ends. Your sentencing today does not end the book. This chapter is done, but what we're missing is the epilogue. Hope that your death is slow and agonizing, because it won't be like a state execution.
Finally, after months of emotional toil, Judge Elizabeth Scherer delivered the sentence.
That all 34 counts of the indictment for each sentence is to run consecutive, that is, one after another.
Nicholas Cruz was given 34 consecutive life sentences, one for every life he took and every survivor he wounded. And as the judge read her ruling, Cruz just stared blankly ahead. Nicholas Cruz had no reaction to his sentence, but as for this next teenager, when given an opportunity to speak, he mocked the families of the people he'd destroyed. This is TJ Lane, a 17-year-old student standing trial for one of the most chilling school shootings in Ohio's history. He's in court, facing multiple counts of aggravated murder for opening fire inside Chardon High School on a quiet February morning. It was February 27th, 2012. Students were eating breakfast, chatting, and getting ready for another day of classes. But Lane didn't come to eat. He came armed, carrying a .22 caliber handgun, and without warning, he opened fire.
911, where's your emergency? We just had a shooting at our school. We need to get out of here. Oh my God. Okay, ma'am, we got a school shooting. Ma'am, what school? Chardon High School. Chardon High School? Yes, ma'am. You seen him shoot how many?
I saw him take out 2, and then I was gone. I was out of there.
Okay, were the students still alive?
I didn't know, ma'am. I didn't even check. I just got out of there as fast as I could.
Panic erupted instantly. One of the first to react was assistant football coach Frank Hall, who ran straight toward the gunfire. He chased Lane out of the cafeteria, through the parking lot, and into the woods behind the school. A chase that ended when police arrived and arrested Lane without resistance.
I don't know why this happened. I only wish I could have done more. I'm not a hero. Just a football coach and a study hall teacher.
Inside the school, Lane's own sister was among the terrified students. She too was shaken and horrified by what her brother had done.
Sitting in that room in shock, as we all comforted one another, I heard a police officer outside of the window say that they suspected TJ Lane. When those words hit me, I shook and cried and denied that all this could be true.
3 students lost their lives that morning. 16-year-old Daniel Parmertor, 17-year-old Russell King Jr., and 16-year-old Demetrius Hewlin, who died later at the hospital. A 4th student, Nick Walsack, survived, but was left permanently paralyzed. All of them were Lane's classmates. And one of them, Russell King Jr., had just started dating Lane's ex-girlfriend. There were speculations that the attack of Russell might have been fueled by this particular situation.
Scott, prosecutors have said publicly that TJ Lane chose his targets at random. But investigators tell CBS News that he knew his alleged victims well, and that one of the key factors that may have led to the shooting was that Lane's girlfriend had broken up with him the week before and started dating one of the boys he allegedly killed.
At the police station, detectives interrogated Lane after reading him his Miranda rights.
Sat down in the cafeteria table and fired first shot through the book bag.
Lane was charged as an adult on 3 counts of aggravated murder. In court, his troubled background came to light. An abusive father with a criminal history and a mother frequently absent. His school friends described him as quiet, isolated, and detached from everyone around him.
I would go into the cafeteria, he'd be sitting there, by himself and everything. And, I feel like I failed as a friend because I should have, at least gone up to him and said, how was your day? How are you doing and everything?
At first, his lawyers entered a not guilty by reason of insanity plea. But after psychological evaluation, the court ruled him competent to stand trial. Lane eventually pled guilty, likely hoping to avoid the death penalty.
Yeah, I think I wanted to plead guilty to on or about February 27, 2012 at Chardon County, Ohio. Purposely with prior calculation and design causing the death of Demetrius Hewlin, being aggravated murder.
Yes.
But what happened next was something no one in that courtroom could have expected. Lane had one final act planned. An act of defiance that would ensure the world remembered his name for all the wrong reasons.
I've
This is the case of the State of Ohio against Thomas M. Lane, case 12C58.
On sentencing day, he walked into court wearing a plain white t-shirt. Across it, in bold black letters, was a single word: killer.
Thank you, Your Honor. To my left is Nicholas Burling, the County Assistant Prosecutor.
The very same word he'd worn on the day of the shooting.
You feeling sick or ill or anything like that? No, just cold. Okay, we're gonna get you some dry clothes to change into, okay? All right. Give us just a minute.
As families of the victims gave tearful impact statements describing lives destroyed and futures stolen, Lane smirked.
Things I was looking forward to, I will never get to see. My baby brother graduate high school, go to college, graduate college, get married, have children. I will never be an aunt, and my children will never know their uncle.
And when given the chance to speak, he delivered one of the most disturbing courtroom statements in history.
Saying pull the trigger, the killer's done. Based on memory. Love you.
Lane was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, but his story didn't end there. 2 years later, on the night of September 11th, 2014, TJ Lane made national headlines again. Inside a high-security prison in Lima, Ohio, Lane and 2 other inmates constructed a makeshift ladder, scaled the fence, and escaped into the night.
We did scale our perimeter fence, and again, this is an ongoing investigation.
One of the inmates was caught almost immediately. But as for Lane and the other, they managed to vanish, triggering a massive manhunt.
Officials launched an intensive search, capturing convicted killer Lindsay Bruce on prison grounds. But Lane and inmate Clifford Oppered, in for kidnapping and robbery, remained on the loose. Authorities told neighbors to lock their doors and stay inside.
Helicopters combed the skies, roads were sealed off while armed officers searched the woods. And for nearly 10 hours, TJ Lane was on the run. But by morning, authorities found him hiding near a church, just 100 yards from the prison.
2 members of the Highway Patrol's Special Response Team captured Lane around 1:30 Friday morning using a canine. He was in woods just 100 yards from the 18-acre prison complex. Officials say he didn't put up a fight and didn't say much before they returned him to the prison.
Lane was taken back into custody and transferred to a maximum security facility, where he remains, serving out his 3 life sentences for the murder of his classmates. TJ Lane's defiance stunned the world, but as for these 2 teenagers, they had startling different reactions to their punishment after murdering their Spanish teacher. This is Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodell, 2 16-year-old high school students from Fairfield, Iowa, both charged with the brutal murder of their Spanish teacher, Nohema Graber. The motive behind this senseless killing was a bad grade. Miller and Goodell attended Fairfield High School in southeastern Iowa, where Graber was a well-loved Spanish teacher. But after Miller received a disappointing grade, anger began to fester. Soon, he and his best friend Goodell were planning her murder. In their own words, the plan was simple and horrifying.
We discussed a general plan of like I'll stand up here, look out. Walk up behind her.
And they knew her routine. Every afternoon, Nohema Graber went for a walk at Chautauqua Park, and on November 2nd, 2021, the boys followed.
And I think we walked back out onto the trail to where the demonstrators show up. And I can't remember if we saw her drive in or if we noticed her van and then knew she was there. But eventually she was there and we bumped into her on the trail while we were looking for her.
After the attack, they dragged her body into the woods and beat her to death with a baseball bat.
She walked by, hit her in the back of the head, and then I said, holy shit, make sure she's dead. So we hit her a couple more times. And then I dragged her off towards the access trail. And then I wasn't sure whether she was alive or not. And
came next was a clumsy, chilling attempt to hide the evidence.
Just using lights to kind of wash away, wipe away the blood that we found. Pick up any bloody leaves. Trying to disguise any trail to the left.
Graber was initially reported missing, and after some time, her body was found, covered in a tarp. One look at the remains, and police immediately knew that they were dealing with a homicide case. And now, they began investigations to fish out who the killers were. The answer came soon enough. A witness came forward, telling investigators that Goodale had sent Snapchat images with incriminating captions bragging about the killing. One of those captions read, "Time to hide a body," followed by, "POV, you're my Spanish teacher, and this is the last thing you see." Police would also find other evidence, which quickly traced the murder back to the two teens. Both boys were arrested and charged as adults with first-degree murder. What was more shocking was when the detectives told the courtroom the motive behind this violent killing.
Were you able to develop a theory or as to Mr. Goodale's motive of the killing of Mrs. Graber?
Yes.
Could you discuss that?
Chardon Miller was basically flunking Spanish. He wanted to go to Spain that summer to build his college resume. He couldn't get into the exchange program without a passing grade in Spanish. So he came up with the idea of killing Mrs. Graber because she was flunking him in Spanish, and asked Jeremy Goodale to assist.
Goodale's father also addressed the court in between tears.
I'm just so sorry.
Right before sentencing, during the victim impact statement, Graber's family spoke of her dedication to her profession and the untold loss brought by the horrific actions of these two teenage boys.
The ability she had to live a life that God was proud of, and her selfless acts that is very hard to replace, especially for what she did for the Hispanic community in her area. It is a complete travesty to have two young people deliberately take the life of Nohema Graber away from so many.
Not only was Nohema robbed of 30-some years of the best years of her life, her murder deprived Paul of the love of his life and certainly hastened his own premature death. It also had major impacts on the lives of their three children, Christian, Jarrett, and Nohema Marie.
Goodale himself also had the opportunity to address the courtroom.
I want to say I'm grateful for this chance to speak my piece. I offer my sincerest apologies to the Graber family, but I know my words will never be enough. I've had time to think on what to say, and I'm sorry, truly sorry. What I've taken can never be replaced. Every day I wish I could go back and stop myself, prevent this loss and this pain that I've caused everyone. Everyone in the community and outside of it, those closest to me and those closest to the Graber family, as well as the Graber family. I didn't know how taking Miss Graber's life would affect you. I can't comprehend losing a loved one in such an awful way. I'm sorry I didn't stop this from happening in the first place.
Despite Goodale's remorse over his actions, the prosecution once again, who was recommended life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years for Goodale, stirred the courtroom to remember exactly what he had done.
Jeremy was approached by Chardon Miller 2 weeks prior to Mrs. Graber's killing. He agreed to help Chardon kill his teacher. It's not clear the level of planning and coordination that took place in the ensuing 2 weeks. But the day before her death on November 1st, he agreed to meet up with Chardon. He did stalk Mrs. Graber along with Chardon to the scene of the crime.
He also acknowledged that Goodale had expressed remorse over his actions and had been cooperative with the authorities.
It's unclear what the defendant's mental state was. However, there were so many opportunities for him to change his mind. Following the brutal conduct of the defendant and co-defendant in the killing of Mrs. Graber, Mr. Goodale made some serious considerations. He agreed to proffer evidence against the co-defendant in this case. He agreed to testify against him, and he took full accountability, and he pled guilty to the first-degree premeditated murder of Nohema Graber, and that is worthy of some consideration.
The defense, however, asked the court not to set a minimum period for his parole, but to defer it to the parole board.
Again, for the court to recognize that Jeremy Goodale is receiving the maximum punishment as provided by law, life in prison. All we are asking for is the court not to make the premature decision now as to when it will be appropriate for him to be released. The Board of Parole is in that position. If Mr. Goodale is not adequately rehabilitated, as again our sentencing memorandum indicates, the Board of Parole will make the right decision.
Then, it was time for the judge's ruling.
I'm required to find that aggravating, and you have expressed genuine remorse that I did not see from your co-defendant. And this factor and the capacity to appreciate the criminality of your conduct, I think, is a mitigating factor. You stated that you never thought about the consequences. And I believe you when you say that, when you agreed to help Willard Miller kill Miss Nohema Graber. The defendants shall be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Next came Willard Miller. When given the chance to speak, he looked toward Graber's family and said,
I'd like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I played in the murder of Nohema Graber. I would like to apologize for my actions, first and foremost, to the family. I'm sincerely sorry for the distress that I've caused you and the devastation I've caused your family. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry to hear about Paul Graber. I know what I did was wrong, and I accept responsibility for my carelessness, for my ignorance, and also I'd like to apologize to the police department and the investigators there for the misinformation I provided back in 2021 to lead them on wild goose and
But the judge's response was firm.
The defendant, Willard Noble Chady Miller, should be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 35 years.
Unlike her friend, Goodale, who was visibly shaken up, even crying in court and having a nosebleed, Miller had no visible reaction to his sentence.